everyone. Welcome
That
to
was
my
the
week.
longest millennial pause I've ever heard in my entire
You
life.
said that last week. Welcome
What?
everyone to my weekly meltdowns coverage of Survivor 44 episode 1 recap. I just had to avoid 2 tornadoes and wait for Tyler to get back from overseas and Beth to get over a hangover to get this show going today.
I mean, let's be
Sure.
real, ladies. Like, y'all need me, right? Like, that's the whole reason. Like,
Yeah,
Can you
hi
mute
Lori in
Tyler?
the chat.
Well, I mean, so let's just break that down quickly, shall
Okay.
we?
yeah.
Allison and I were really looking forward to just absolutely losing our fucking minds.
We were in the super secret side chat talking
Yeah.
about it.
We had a side chat for the side chat. It was
Side
that
chat,
intense.
side piece chat.
I see.
Yeah. No, we were and actually, to be perfectly honest, not only was it weather issues on Thursday, it was also Beth is an idiot and forgot she had to teach a class on Thursday night. And she's the one who scheduled it. So good job, me. So
Way
good
to go.
times there.
Way to go.
But I guess the bonus here is that Tyler's with us to talk about the beginning. Yay. No.
Yeah.
No, I really am glad that I'm here because I thought I literally just finished it like 15 minutes ago. I thought this premiere was lovely. I feel like already we see a difference in casting from Survivor 43 to this season.
Wow.
And I thought it was a really great, like, it was very, like, what in the Survivor go wrong was this premiere, first of all. But, like, other than that, I thought it was a great episode, great cast. I felt like I got a great first impression of everybody. Crazy first tribal, too. Shot in the Dark got played successfully for the first time. Like, there's so many things for us to kind of break down here. And I'm really excited to talk about everybody.
Hello to Rory, Joseph, and Kylan in the chat, by the way. Hello, guys.
Hello,
I know you three have been waiting.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. So we're happy we could do this for y'all.
Yes.
I am actually quite shocked to hear that, Tyler, because I think that you'll find you're in the minority of people who feels like they got to know this cast, myself included, and that there was a lot of gaps that were not filled editing wise. Now, I will say, I think casting wise, I completely agree with you. I'm actually, as y'all know, I'm like the modern Survivor apologist. Like, I didn't mind the amount of advantages and all that kind of stuff. I thought that there were some really interesting things that were introduced. Again, it'll come down to how are we going to get 3 new twists every single week, because that's ridiculous at that point, right? But I thought that there were some really interesting things here. But I'm really like, is Tyler softening up in season 44, Allison?
I don't know, but I just know that I picked the winner. After this episode, y'all just go ahead, give me the crown.
Who?
Yam is winning.
I love Yam Yam.
And the way just give me 2 seconds. The way he supported everyone, his words of encouragement. I'm not trying to toot my own horn, but how he is with people during like that kind of situation, it's kind of how I am. Like, I give people words of encouragement, like, you're not failing if you're trying, even if it's not working out and it's just, you tried, that is a typical like mom thing. I don't know. And I guess not just a typical mom thing, but I felt like I was so excited. And I just want to say this was the first episode because I didn't get to watch it until Thursday, and I keep Little Cloud, my grandson, on Thursdays, and I didn't get to start watching it till noon, and that's around his little nap time. So it's my lunch and his nap, so he's in my lap. I got he's freaking 4 blankets, this kid, 4, just wrapped up like with the head, all you see is the face, but he's in my lap and he's just got his back and he's just laying there. We start Survivor and he's just but he's fighting it. Is the funny thing is he's just and it was just like a moment. I'm sorry, it was just a moment. It was our first Survivor moment, and he fell asleep anyway.
So maybe the best place to start with this is just kind of from the beginning. We once again in this new era, we're having a challenge from the get-go.
It's a new era.
It's a new era of Survivor. So
yes. No, I sorry to cut you off, Beth. I absolutely loved the very, very first scene that they showed in the episode. Like the very the unedited like confessional that Carolyn had, where like the producer is talking to her and she's just like, I don't know what's going on here, but I'm excited. Like I love like when like production like goes behind the curtain a little bit and shows like raw footage like that. So I really, really, really love that, and I hope that Carolyn's like a huge character for.
I mean, I'm gonna go out on a limb and say she for me was my MVP, not for anything strategic, just personality wise. I want gifs and photos of her face at any given second in this competition. I am obsessed with this woman.
Yeah.
No, I love that that's how they start the episode. Like, that's so different. But they also, like, I'm going to go out there and say, and I'm surprised you haven't mentioned this part yet, Tyler, because I thought this would be what you were also really interested in. The cinematography they had for when Bruce hits his head and like all the way through it was like simultaneously gruesome and beautiful. And it like didn't take, if anything, like I think it like just added more of us like rooting for Bruce in that moment, right? And I think a lot of people had surmised ahead of time that Bruce would be medevaced, and a lot of people had kind of surmised based off of like the trailers and all that stuff that potentially it was either Maddie or Claire was also going to be gone in the first episode. But even with people kind of even knowing that Bruce was going, I've seen so many people be like, oh my God, that opening shot of like, you can see the blood start to come out. You can see like now you're just getting mud in there mixed in. You could see him start to like his initial reactions.
It was that bright red, thick ass blood too.
Yeah,
I thought that he was growing like a third eye right here. Like that's what I thought was.
His third eye was opening. Yeah. Absolutely. No, it was simultaneously gruesome and gross, but also just like it was so beautifully shot, and it just shows like, I mean, Survivor 44 seasons in is like there's no one who still believes that Survivor's fake. Like I would say probably for the first 10 years there were people who were like they're being fed off the side, like blah 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 blah. Like it's like little scenes like this that like they're not doing it to prove that Survivor's real, but they're trying to show like the beauty and the grit that happens in this game, even in the first few moments of a competition.
But for me, when Bruce hit his head and we've got the dripping and slow-mo, the music, that whole moment, I'm sitting there with my 16-month-old grandson in my lap whose eyes are huge, and I'm watching this and I'm like, is this bad? But anyway, the mother in me, the grandmother in me is like, stop touching it with your muddy fingers, it's gonna get infected. Stop it. Like I want to just run out there with Neosporin spray. Okay, continue.
But there's been a lot of discourse about this though too, where like, do you all think that this was mishandled by production / the medical team?
No, definitely not. And I was talking to Tim about this, who is a doctor, and he said that like concussions are very hard to diagnose, like right when it happens. So like he showed all symptoms of being okay, being good, but later on in the night, like his head just like started throbbing. I'm laughing not at his head throbbing. I'm laughing at freaking Jeff Probst, like while he's like sobbing his eyes out from pain, Jeff is behind him with like his hands on his shoulders, being like, you are such a bright light in this game. You deserve to play this game. I feel so bad for you. And I'm just thinking, like, if I had like this splitting headache, the last thing I want in my GD ear is Jeff Probst like screaming at me. So I felt Bruce's pain in that moment. But
I think Jeff was adding to the pain for sure.
For sure. Maybe Jeff is the reason he had to be medevaced. But no, like I thought that they handled it well. Like for anybody saying that they didn't do their job, like that, there's been how concussion works.
It'll be I wouldn't say that, because there's a lot of neurosurgeons or not neurosurgeons, one's a neurosurgeon, but there's a lot of doctors who see concussions a lot who were also saying no, they should have taken him for observation immediately and not allowed him to go back in. But they also were saying it was less about waiting until he collapsed, and they should have stopped it once he hit his head and not waited for him to go, oh, I'm not feeling well, and dropped down to the ground.
Yeah, that fair.
Was the part that they were really
they
like, they should have
should've
observed it immediately.
They should have stopped it right when it happened, and before he started diddle daddle with the mud and that to me is when they should have stopped it and just did their thing. I mean, if he's fine, he's fine. But I just kind of felt like he kept going, and that's great and that's commendable. I'm not a doctor. Trust me, you don't want me diagnosing nothing, but it's just kind of hold on a minute. This is like blood. This is like a horror film over here in slow-mo, and even the music's fucking creepy. Well, and I know it didn't happen in slow-mo with music when it was happening, but still, I don't know. Just,
well, no, they like very clearly had like a lot of eyes on like the actual incident happening and getting like all those shots and stuff. So it makes me wonder, like maybe because Jeff is like the executive producer, maybe Jeff is the only one that can make the call to pause the challenge. Maybe.
No, I don't think so. I think the medical team has every right to. I think what we see oftentimes is Jeff playing the like, oh, I must call medical. Now they will listen to me and come because I said so. But I'm fairly confident and I'm sure that Jeff and the new official Survivor podcast may even talk about this at some point. I'm sure he's got a little thing in his ear that kind of will be other production members who are off to the side, because there have been times, and I think we've seen this before, where there have been a competition going and Jeff is so focused over here and doesn't see something that's happening back here. Right. And then all of a sudden he's like, whoa, over here. And it's clearly he's being fed like, by the way, something big happened over here. You should probably turn your head. So I definitely think that there's a part of that I can understand. I personally don't think that production and the medics dropped the ball on this. I think that what they thought was, it was a cut, and they didn't realize that it was something worse than that because he was standing and he was fine and the adrenaline was there. And
I'm with
you, Tyler, in the fact that like if they felt like this was a pretty serious bonk on the head, that he probably wouldn't have like reacted the way he did. But at the same time, that's what concussions do. You don't really know. So it's nice to know that Bruce has gotten an invite back. I think that this must be a relatively newer thing, considering Pat from David versus Goliath never got an invite back. And
I was thinking about that. Yeah. No, but like if that's a new trend that like they're starting, I'm happy with that because I don't know. We could do a whole season of like medevacs.
I was just thinking there was two things I was thinking about, but one was, y'all know how small I am. I got knocked the fuck out by a refrigerator door 3 years ago. Y'all remember that? I mean, I literally was at.
It was a mini fridge too.
In the office. It was it was the kind with the door that opened to the free. It wasn't a fan. It was an old school metal steel, and I had opened the refrigerator door, and I came up real fast, and it went right into my head. The handle. Or the door. I don't even know what went into my head, but I didn't know that anything was really wrong. Like it shocked me, and my body went into shock. And then I finished what I was doing, and I went back into the office, and I was sitting there, and apparently I was not. A couple of guys were taught, and I don't even halfway remember. I just know that Chris had to come get me, and I had to go to the freaking emergency room and explain that I'm a little person and I got knocked out by the freezer door on a refrigerator because I'm an idiot and I got up too fast. And then I'm kind of wondering while watching this episode, where the fuck is production when Matthew's I'm going to be a rock climber all of a sudden barefoot?
That is purely on Matthew. I'm sorry. That's purely on Matthew because we've seen people who have climbed like trees and have fallen and scraped their entire inner thighs on the way down. Like we've seen those kind of things before. We know that the survivors have to sign waiver after waiver after waiver that talk about, any injury that is of your own doing, those kind of things. Right. We have some really good questions in that. Also, hi to Tommy. It's good to see you here as well as Pokemon. Pokemon does ask Joseph Boza asked in the chat, did the game designers make that comp too hard, or was it just a freak accident? And I'm actually going to probably be in the minority here and say that it's a mixture of both, but mostly the game design, because that level was so low and Bruce is such a big guy. Like that was a recipe for disaster.
Yeah,
I would have just flew under that thing without touching it.
Allison would have walked under it.
I would have been like fucking Superman. Like, Kate,
that is such a great visual.
I can't wait. Oh my god. Yeah,
Bruce's head is like bleeding out, and Allison's just like running past it in the background, out of focus.
Bruce laying down is taller than Allison standing up.
Yeah.
And I agree with Tommy here. Tommy says Bruce went too hard into a poorly designed challenge. Dude, and that's exactly what I think it is, which makes a freak accident at the end of the day.
So I guess like my next note is the whole what's it called, like the savvy versus sweat or something like that. Can we retire this? Like, this has been 8 tribes in a row that have successfully beaten the puzzle or lugged the damn coconuts. Like, I feel like it's just like wasted time in the episode that we could have like for more like organic like interactions and getting to know the tribe and stuff like that. Like it's
especially with the birdcage there, which already added like a whole other twist for people to come together and talk about.
Yeah. So I'm like officially over the whole like pick your challenge to win your supplies type of thing. Like it's just nonsense at this point when the win rate is 100%. I'm tired of it. I'm over it. But
I do want to point out something that I thought was incredibly socially strategic, which was Carson like being like, I'll do it, but I don't want to if nobody like I'll do it if nobody else will, kind of thing, in order to lower his threat level, but also if they failed, to make it like him not claiming he's good at something, even though he probably was really good at that, right? Even though honestly Helen was the one that killed it. Even Carson is saying that as well. So I think that, you know, I agree with that assessment. But also it kind of did what it was supposed to at the end of the day, which is the sweat portion made Brandon so burnt out that he had to kind of drop out of that first immunity challenge.
Yeah, that's true.
Man, I was afraid we were gonna lose Brandon. I thoroughly enjoy watching Brandon do anything from standing, sitting, talking, breathing.
Yeah.
So please, let's not medevac that.
You know what? I will stop actually what I was going to say. That's what I'll do.
So for your birthday next year, we're getting you a mug with Brandon's face on it then.
Yes, please.
Okay. Good,
Yeah.
Noted.
By the way, where is that mug? Can we show it off for the?
It's in the kitchen. It's not. It's in the kitchen. But I drink out of it all of the time.
She's quite thirsty for some Pedro Pascal.
Well, like I said, you are not a real Pedro Pascal fan until you sat through all 3 seasons of Narcos. That's all I'm going to say. I'm going to leave it right there.
There you go. So I want to talk about the birdcage advantage thing. I feel like the Orange Tribe, like having to like opening it up in front of the entire tribe was probably like production's like worst nightmare of how they wanted this twist to happen. So I feel like it's already off to like a flop start. And
live and learn. I think that's a situation where production, I think, should have anticipated that was a potential option, but also that makes for chaotic gameplay, like is exactly what we saw in the very beginning of this. And I would not be shocked if all of a sudden something is replaced there the next time, right? Maybe the key is hidden again instead of an idol, and now they know what to do with it. So I don't think that it's necessarily a failed thing. It obviously created for a very memorable first tribal.
I almost wonder like if you were able to find the key right away, but the actual like birdcage doesn't appear until like after the first round or something like that. So there's like time for the key finder to like figure out like, should I share this information with people? What the heck does this key even mean? And then like once the birdcage is there, like it starts like all the crazy speculation, and then they have more opportunity to kind of hide and open it up like without people around. Because like when everybody's like first there together, like of course they're going to like split up in pairs and stuff like that, and have like a pact, right? Of like, all right, whoever finds the key, we're all gonna like come back together and open it up together. I feel like this could be workshopped a little bit more.
Honestly, here's my suggestion: the scroll that you find that has the key, put keep it secret or secret on it so that you're not supposed to share it with other people. That's all you have to, just like it used to say beware when it was a beware advantage, right?
Yeah.
So have a word on there that gives people a hint that this is supposed to be an individual twist.
Yeah, I'm not a Survivor expert by any means, but even I knew that this was something for one person. I mean, it's not tree mail because it's not in a tree. It's in a
That probably would have been
cage.
my first guess, actually.
Yeah,
Like,
I thought, okay, it's
being
in a
tree mail,
cage.
I don't know.
It requires a key. You have to find the key. My thing is it's either individual immunity or it's some kind of advantage for the entire tribe. But I was more leaning towards this is something for one person. And I thought it was kind of funny how Maddie and Brandon were talking about. Maddie brought it up though. Wait a minute, should we say anything? And Brandon's like, well, I don't know. And then like they go back and forth, and all of a sudden Brandon goes, I found the key. Hello, it's right here. I'm gonna open it now. And Maddie's like, dude, the hell?
I mean,
the fuck? We were just okay. Can you let me know we're not done talking?
But I do think that that's such an indication right there that Brandon's not willing to build a bridge and create a relationship and would rather just rely on himself, which again, you're talking about the social dynamics of a game where who can you really trust? And if his go-to move is to not trust anybody, that makes sense for him versus Maddie's like, oh, this is an opportunity for me to build a bridge with somebody and keep a secret, right? I love Tommy's point here in the chat, and this is something I wanted to get to next, which is I think that they want idols very public. They also gave Sarah that way OP inheritance advantage when she goes to the island. So we'll talk about the advantages on the island next. And they want the public knowledge idol to be used at the same time Sarah uses her advantage. I think that what we're trying to see here, once again, you know, these past few seasons have really been about what are different ways that we can shake up the game? What are some different advantages? How can we do different things with idols? Because in their eyes, it's getting stale. They want to try new things. They want to bring a whole new audience in. They don't, you know, there's all these different kinds of aspects to it. But if you're going to have something that is really OP, like Sarah has to know where advantages and things are in order to play them. But as Tyler will understand, and anybody who's been watching Survivor Australia knows, idols become public fairly easily through organic gameplay. So just rely on the cast in order to do that. And I think the issue here is, again, I don't find it to be an issue. I'm a modern Survivor apologist. I say it every single time. Doesn't mean I don't find faults in it. Doesn't mean I like every single thing about it. I love that there's different stresses of gameplay that you have to maneuver when you think you know this game, and then all of a sudden you're thrown 5 variables that you didn't think or know about. Some of them are public, some of them are private, but is this really public? Is this really private? Those kind of things are really interesting and create for dynamic gameplay. That doesn't make it stagnant. But that said, some of these advantages are going to be a little OP because of that at the same time.
I kind of liked the inheritance advantage. I think it's well balanced in the fact that like you have to know where the idols are and like how they're being played, when they're being played, and stuff like that. I like my big question, because like you were saying in our chat like about the inheritance advantage like before I was able to watch the premiere, and that was my first question to you guys was, is it like do people know that Sarah has this advantage, or is it like a secret? I'm glad that it's a secret. I was worried it was going to be a public thing, and I feel like that would ruin the entire point of this advantage. So I'm
so that's what I'm still trying to figure out. What
better than the knowledge is power advantage.
It's 1,000% better because you're actually going to get something. But what I guess the question isn't do people know that she has the advantage? It's do people know when she plays the advantage? That is the question. Because
I don't think so.
I think so. I think that's the dice roll.
When she read it, she said you get to secretly play it at Tribal. So I think she plays it when she.
Oh, I didn't hear the word secretly, so that makes a big difference then.
Yeah.
So that's the thing. Like, if they wanted to make things so public, then they have to balance things with private. So I love that advantage even more. I think a lot of people think it's OP, but you have to play that correctly. I'm sure she has to play it before everything's read out, right?
Yeah.
I'm sure when she goes up to vote, she goes, I'm playing my advantage. So she has to anticipate if people are going to do that. Now, that's not confirmed. That's my speculation.
Well, that would make it balanced because like she's like playing it before like any of the advantages are even open to be played. So yeah, I like it. And I also like the bank the vote advantage.
I love the bank the vote advantage. I don't care that it's only one time that you get to bank your vote. I think that makes 100% like, look at how that actually benefited Heidi when she was kind of put under. Okay, sorry. We have to take the step back and praise Queen Claire, who I called from the get-go was going to be a fucking queen. And Tyler went, I don't know. She really didn't give me anything. And I was like, I don't know. I connect with her. I think she can read people. She played the hell out of that game she completely decimated the relationships of the Orange Tribe just by putting that little bit of doubt into Matthew in the sit-out bench. Incredible!
That to me was fucking epic. I've never seen that before. And like I said, I'm not like a diagram chart kind of person like Tyler. So this could have happened and I don't know. But I was just like, that would be something I think one of us would freaking do if we were on the show.
Oh, 1,000%.
What? Well, yeah, no, absolutely, Allison.
Look over here.
And so, no, Beth, like I will say like my first impression of Claire was wrong. I was really, really happy to see her do that. And I made this tweet. I spent my whole 15-hour flight composing this tweet. It was the first thing I did when I got service back in the States here. Because I was watching Australian Survivor, and one of the things that I absolutely love about this season of Australian Survivor is those cross-tribal dynamics of information sharing, idol sharing. It's just creating so many complex layers of strategy and building bonds that actually mattered heading into the merge. Yeah. And I feel like we got, like, maybe for one of the first times in Survivor history, besides the whole like JT and Russell idol share letter bullshit and heroes versus
villains.
This is like the good version of that, right? Like this is like organic. This is not anything that was produced by a ship wheel island or anything stupid. Like this is just two people taking advantage of their time sitting on a bench together out of a challenge to share information and to screw Lauren over. It was really, really fantastic.
It's so great to see, especially after how much of this we've seen in Australian Survivor as well. So it's like, it was a great like little cue up. Like we've seen people being able to maneuver post-merge relationships by hugs at the end of the challenge and saying, you know, whispering little things that like, you should look for an idol here, or you should work with this person and those kind of things. And I mean, that's a little different, obviously, with Australian Survivor because so many of them are returnees. But what a wonderful way for Claire to do this. And by it, inadvertently, though, she helps Heidi because Heidi says, I lost my vote. She doesn't show them anything, but then she banks her vote. So there is no vote for her to vote. And if anything, now everybody goes, oh, wow, that was so credible. And there she is with 2 votes that she can use whenever she wants. Amazing. Amazing.
Anytime someone does something sneaky, I love it. Just the sneaky. I love that. I just love it. I love it. It just, hey. And I'm like, oh, here we go.
Yeah. Overall, the Orange Tribe just seems very dysfunctional. Seems like
I'm sorry. Jack's right. It's Lauren I'm talking about, not Heidi. I keep saying Heidi. I mean Lauren. You're right. Thank you.
You good. I feel like the Orange Tribe overall is like not going to be on the same page for this entire time that they're together. So I'm excited to see that tribe like malfunction. And like I didn't go into this premiere thinking that would be the case. I was really worried about the pinkish purple tribe, because especially with Bruce out of the game,
Taki or something. I think.
Yeah, I think so. Especially with Bruce out of the game, that tribe is so physically underwhelming compared to the other 2 tribes that I'm so worried that they're going to lose every challenge. And I love every single person on that tribe. So I want all of them to make it to the merge and win.
That tribe is going to be the GIF tribe. Like everyone's going to have a GIF.
Yeah.
I don't hate anybody this season. Like, I really don't. Like, I don't have one, like, I shouldn't say I hate anybody, but there's not like one person. I think I even said it in our chat. There's not anybody in here I don't like.
Yeah.
I think everybody's got something going for him. I think this premiere episode really dialed into everybody. I felt like for the first time there was something for everyone. It's not just let's just focus on this. I mean, there were people that had bigger moments, like Bruce, obviously, Brandon, obviously, Matthew, obviously, who I love to death. I just like the mom in me is watching him climb that rock, going, "You're gonna fucking fall, dude," and I'm just gonna sit here and watch it happen.
I wonder if that's
He's
going to be
learn.
like. I actually like wrote here like because Matthew was my first pick in the draft, so I was like really like zoning in on like his. I'll post it. Don't worry. I was really zoning in on like what his premiere episode was like, and I think that maybe him falling off the rock because of his own doing, he didn't even have to do it. I feel like that's going to be a big metaphor for him in this game. Like there were so many like confessionals about like, you know, I'm making the most of like this isn't my midlife crisis, this is my midlife challenge. Like it just gave really like over enthusiastic energy that's going to make him play really sloppy or not see something and slip and fall in this like grand way strategically. So I'm a little worried about him.
Let me ask a question, and not to decide to teeter off anything, but 3 things happened to 3 people during this episode. Somebody knocked themselves the F out and got medevac later on. Somebody fell off a rock, and another person almost passed out. There's 3 things. Out of those 3 things, there's 3 of us. Which incident would have happened to each one of us? Who would have knocked themselves out?
Allison, you're the knockout. I'm sorry. That's not even a question. Like we all know Allison's getting knocked out and taken out day 1.
I do it to myself.
1,000%. I
think you're the heat challenge.
I think I'm the heat stroke and Tyler's the I was trying to do something like climb and I fell.
And I don't even think mine would be during a challenge. I just think it'd be random. Something flies off and hits me. I take a coconut to the face.
Coconut to the head. Yeah.
Who knows? And it's me throwing it up in the air and it hits. I hit myself. Like, I don't know.
Oh my God. That's what would happen. You'd be throwing those rings up to try to get them above the bottom. Which time out? Why did Carolyn take off her pants?
I'm like, that's not the problem. Your pants
I think it was because she couldn't squat.
Not only that, but like her like throwing the ring up, she's like, ah!
I fucking love her so much. It was so good. But actually, no, at first she was going, wee! Like she had, because they had such a huge lead. But I honestly, I think that tribe's going to be so interesting. I think it's very clear. This is the only time in my life I will ever be compared to a former NFL player. So I will take that. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
But mine would be because Beth took 4 steps and now has heat stroke. Like, sorry guys, that's me.
Can you imagine if you and I were the ones picked to pull the coconuts?
Oh, you know what, Allison? We wouldn't even do it. We wouldn't even do. We would just look at them and go, "Y'all chose us. We're going to sit on the beach and not do it. Okay, we're going to save our strength. We're going to save our strength.
Everything you get for picking us.
I'm going to open all these coconuts and drink the water inside. Thank you. That's what I'm doing.
I would be riding you like Yoda on Luke Skywalker during the challenge. You'd be carrying me.
Oh God!
I'd be hanging onto the net, and you'd be dragging coconuts and me because I have to be touching the net to participate. Paul,
I couldn't even walk back and forth on the beach that many times, let alone drag something. Are you kidding me?
Tyler was off on the second. God, can you put some effort in? Guys, come on.
Also, can we just talk about how big of an idiot I am when they revealed the 2 rings and everything for the savvy portion? I literally was like, why don't they just go up and look at it and count? And then I was like, oh, the whole point is that they have to be a distance away.
Yeah.
I was like I just hold it and go 1, 2, 3, 4.
No, but they did a really great job working together, communicating well. Like that was like the first like alliance really that we saw form was Carson, Sarah, and Helen. And I really hope that it makes me worried about Jam Jam and Carolyn like being on the outs of that. But my hope is just that like this tribe just doesn't go to tribal until merge is my hope. Please.
I think
even Sarah is like she's giving like boring mother energy, kind of like Allison from Survivor David versus Goliath.
I thought that was about to go south real quick, Tyler.
I've literally never thought of the word boring when it comes to Allison, and then
I get the boring mother vibe like Allison.
No, remember Dr. Allison from Survivor David versus like how boring she was, but like we just like stand her for no goddamn reason. Like that's kind of what I'm feeling about Sarah. And Helen and Carson were great too. I'm really excited about that. But another thing I wanted to mention to you guys was we have a budding showmance for the first time in quite a long time. What do you guys think about this whole Matt and Franny dynamic that's like blooming here?
Yeah.
Matt. Yeah, Matt.
There's not Matthew. Right? Oh, yeah, not Matthew. Not the one who fell, the other one.
I just can't get into romances on Survivor. You're hot, sticky. It's gamey down there. It's just a lot. And I just can't.
Let's be honest. They've been out there for a day at this point. That's the best time to get in the show.
You're going to do it right off the beach before the Jeff, hold on. I got to get it. I got to get this in real quick.
I'm going to put it out there and say that I'm hoping that they are strategic.
Yeah.
And so when you look at like the showmances that came out of like Micronesia in Fans versus Favorites with like Ozzy and Amanda, for example, Amanda at least was incredibly strategic and was able to go farther, but Ozzy got axed not just because of his physicality, but mostly because of the relationship, right? And that was because the girls were like, we need to make sure Amanda's loyal to us. I think that this is a huge issue. Well, you also look at millennials versus Gen X, right? And that when you had the tribe swap, and then it's like, I just honestly think that showmances, I also just don't understand them as an asexual person. I'm just like, I'm there to win. I don't care about like when we get to Ponderosa and we're showered and we have food and I'm not thinking about anything else in the game. Let's have a date. Let's go. But in the context of the game, I don't get it.
Yeah, I'm the same way, and I'm me. And I don't think, now if it was Pedro Pascal, it'd be different. But
Allison, what would happen if you were on the same tribe as Pedro Pascal?
Oh my God.
What would Chris have to watch from home?
Well, I get a pass. That's my daddy pass.
Okay, but what would Chris have to watch his
Never
pass?
say the phrase daddy pass again.
There would be a lot of Allison prancing around in her sports bra and granny panties. A lot of stuff that nobody wants to see. A lot of unnecessary stretching. Eating bananas.
What is stretching?
I need to know what.
Just sitting out with my legs open, just doing the front. This
isn't helping. When you say, what is stretching exactly? Is it just your legs or is it your vaginal cavity?
Well, I want that vaginal cavity to be tight, Beth. We don't want to stretch
it expands when you're excited. That's the point.
Listen, just a lot of unnecessary stuff and wafting. It's just a lot. I can't even explain it. He would probably be trying to hide. He'd probably be like asking production what I do about this crazy bitch. Just a lot. It'd be a lot.
You would be like, I was able to successfully hide my idol. If you know what I mean.
Pedro,
things got a little loose down there.
You want me to hold your idol for you, Pedro? I know where I can put it. No one will ever find it because nobody wants to go in there.
All right, I want to go back to the Matt and Franny thing because I want to like finish my thought on that.
Yeah, that's important.
But I think that you are totally spot on about like where the showmance is going to go and maybe Matt being targeted before Franny. I think Franny is going to be a huge character this season, and the reason I say that is there's a new like edgic trend emerging for modern post Survivor 40 Survivor. Every winner so far in 41, 42, and 43 has been one of the people that Jeff asks a question to on the mat. And so the three people that got a question on the mat were Jam Jam, Franny, and Matthew. And we got a lot of content from Jam Jam and Matthew, but not so much Franny outside of the Matt like budding showmance thing. But we like the first confessional that we get from Matt is saying, "Oh, I just got out of a bad breakup, so I'm excited to like start this new adventure." Like I think that Matt is going to take the fall for the showmance because he's going to be more into it and less game focused than Franny is. And I think that Franny will play this to her advantage and make it far in the game.
I think it's hard for me right now to really gauge because I felt like the green tribe had an inequitable amount of time on screen compared to the orange and pink tribes.
Yeah, that's fair. That's
so
fair.
I can't wait to see how this kind of, especially since we have more of a teaser that their relationship is really starting to bloom for episode 2. So I'm excited to see that.
Yeah.
So before we end, we really should talk about tribal.
Well, yeah. Listen, I've got to run, but you guys go ahead and finish without me, okay?
Let me do the draft and then you can leave. Okay?
Yeah, let me see the draft real quick.
All right. So I added little dots for the tribes just to help like
you are such a saint. Look at that.
So Allison, I also good for us for picking the first boot correctly. So Maddie was the first boot, and of course Bruce was medevaced. So this is our
I need to take ownership especially, but we need to take ownership over the fact that Maddie was literally nothing like we characterized her to be in our draft. And I want to do a personal apology to Maddie for thinking you were going to be some kind of like granola crunchy Brooklyn hipster. And you were nothing of the sort. You were a robbed queen goddess in my mind. And I really hope we get to see more of you in some capacity.
Here's my hot take. Best first boot, strategic, like game-wise in Survivor history.
Ooh, love that. Love that. I'd have to give that some thought before I agree or disagree. But okay. I think that's a great take.
There you go. But so that was our draft. Allison, any thoughts on me being the only one here with
I got nothing. You got lucky because of other stuff. So we're just gonna wave a flag.
Tyler, when you lost your entire tribe back to back last time, and by tribe I mean draft, like this is the universe giving you 1 week off. Okay,
listen,
you get 1 week
experience, but
roll around in it.
I think I'm back to this.
That's a whole different show, and also I'm not part of that draft. So just saying. Are
you done?
I'm done.
I'm leaving now so you guys can really talk about strategic shit.
Okay.
All right, sounds good. Have a good night.
Right, bye. Have a good dinner.
Bye.
So, Tyler, let's talk a little bit about tribal council. So, as we know, the Orange Tribe does get sent to tribal, and we have the whole Brandon versus Maddie situation, but actually with a lot of post episode interviews, especially with Maddie, there's a lot that was not actually put in the episode that contextualizes the tribal council a little bit more for me. I don't know if you've had an opportunity to listen to any of Maddie's interviews or read anything, but essentially, I guess the idea going into tribal was because Jamie was was flipping and was so on the outs. Jamie Lynn was actually going to be the target. So her playing the shot in the dark was actually quite legitimate strategically.
Okay, good. I needed that context because I was like, what the hell is this girl doing? Like, I was not understanding like her paranoia. And then Matthew as well playing the shot in the dark, like that was a big question mark for me.
I think that Matthew did it so that he didn't have to vote out an ally. He could be like, I didn't vote, and also I'm concerned about being injured, that people are going to vote for me. But I think he knew that the plan generally was supposed to be to take out Brandon if Jamie Lynn was going to play her shot in the dark. And I don't think he really wanted to do that. So I think that his way of doing that was being like, oh, I'm going to play my shot in the dark. But I also kind of like the idea of like, just get rid of your shot in the dark early in the game, because oftentimes, this is the only time it's ever been played successfully, but it also just adds a layer of trustworthiness moving forward for Matthew. Like, he's not going to just pull something now with his shot in the dark at the end.
It's a very strategically interesting concept, right? Like using your shot in the dark because it is a public thing to kind of abstain from taking a side in the first vote.
Yeah.
And that kind of gives you like more options to like more paths to go in, and gives you a little more time to figure out way is the right one, right? So like, of course, we saw Brandon like use his idol successfully. He would have been voted out if he didn't use it. So good for him for doing that, and good for him for doing it regardless, because it was a public fine. So I'm always under the train of thought, like, if everybody knows you have the idol, like, you should play it like sooner rather than later, I think. So I think that after they come back from tribal, I think we'll see Matthew go to Brandon and really solidify it like
very quickly. And I also think now that Lauren can be like, see, I told you I didn't have my vote. I do think that Lauren and Jamie Lynn are going to have to look at each other and go, okay. And also Kane and Maddie apparently were very close. So Kane didn't want to go for Brandon, but did see the strategy behind Maddie. And so he stuck with her. Kane is now left to dry. Left out to dry. So I do think that it would be smart for Kane, Lauren, and Jamie Lynn to come together against the two guys, because I think it's going to be pretty obvious that the two guys are going to be together. But I also think that, like, because Brandon clearly, as kind of Pokemon has been saying in the chat quite a bit, like, there was a lot of like, kind of seemed like unfounded distrust for Maddie and like dislike for Maddie from him. And I think a lot of it comes down to, again, I don't think he just felt like he can trust her. And I think that he's somebody that if he gets an inkling that he can't trust you, or he gets caught doing something, it's going to be like, you're the target. So you better believe that now that Kane has written his name down, Brandon's not going to let Kane back in, period. Like, I'm calling it like that right now.
Right. And like, especially with Lauren, like having her extra vote, like they have like even more arsenal to get rid of these guys, right? So Brandon doesn't have his idol. Matthew doesn't have his shot in the dark. So like these two guys, like, you're right, Beth, like they're very vulnerable heading into this next tribal, and it really puts Kane in like a really powerful swing position. So we'll see if he kind of like takes charge of that power. We'll see if he realizes like the opportunity that he has in front of him. I think maybe the vote for this should have been Lauren. Like, I think Matthew was on the right track with saying like, listen,
apparently
like,
she really never was a target, like, at all.
That's odd to me.
It was
especially
like
after Claire tells Matthew like that she can't be trusted because she lied about.
Well, and I think that that's the thing. It's not that she didn't say she can't be trusted. She was like, you might want to look into that kind of thing. So she may not have she could have just said, I didn't bring my paper back with me, because what good was that going to do? But now that she knows that somebody else did it on the tribe, if anything, like, I can't wait to see if something happens to Claire now. Like, if people are going to be like, oh, now that Claire's in the competition, let me just like, if Lauren is sitting out, is Lauren going to be like, hey, blah, 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 blah. This is what she did in order to try to stir some stuff up. So you might want to be aware that she's doing that to our tribe, let alone what's she doing on your tribe. So that'll be interesting. Pokemon also asked the question, won't Matthew regret not having a shot in the dark in the future if he's vulnerable, though? It would be completely defenseless at the next tribal. But he'll have a vote. And that's the thing, is that with the shot in the dark, you're giving up your vote in order to get a 1 in 6 chance to survive. So you're not really, that's not much of a defense of anything.
Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I understand the idea of using it as a Hail Mary, but I actually prefer the idea of using it if you think that you're in a minority vote in case an idol is played. Like, that's the most optimal time to use it, because you are probably not the one going home, but you might as well save yourself. You might as well take away your vote in order to like lessen the odds of the votes, those kind of things. You have to think strategically about where the vote's going to be. Nobody knew that Lauren wasn't going to vote. I mean, they should have known that Lauren wasn't going to vote because she said, I don't have my vote. But if they'd been doing the math properly, Matthew probably looked at this as, I think people are probably up to something. I don't know if they're going to go after Brandon because he has the idol. And if he plays the idol, they're probably looking at me next and saying, he's injured, he's reckless. Like, what are the things here? So I don't think this was a poor play by Matthew at all. And if anything, moving forward, he can always say, I don't have my shot in the dark. How do you want me to use my vote? And I think that's actually a big power play moving forward.
And not only that, but like, I think that the whole losing your vote thing, like, it's the most inconsequential when there's the most amount of people in your tribe that you will ever have. Like it's like your individual vote is less important than knowing that the quote unquote the plan is still going to go through even without your number involved.
Right.
So I think it's and also like the odds of like successfully playing your shot in the dark are so low that I don't think it's something that you should bank on relying on in the future or anything. It's almost like a trump card to play, like a little joker in the deck. So I like to. Okay, you're talking me into it here. I was a little like thumbs down him playing it, but with that extra context, like I see where I see what you mean.
I think that there's just like, again, I really think that the big enemy of the episode 1 of the premiere is the editing at the end of the day. There's a lot that we had to lose out on in terms of dynamics and where people lied, and also just like a little bit of people's background and story, because we had 2 new advantages to learn about. I would love to know what was the advantage that was left on the table that Matthew didn't get at the island, right? There's going to be things there that I think we would love to hear a little bit more about. But I also think that the modern era of Survivor is less about the characters from production's eyes and more about how are they navigating all the obstacles that we're throwing at them. I would also argue that sorry, I'm just gonna make one last point.
No.
And then I would love for you to respond to this. But I also think that last season we had a lot of storytelling of people's backgrounds in the very beginning and then very little payoff towards the end. So I do think that what they're still trying to do is figure out that balance of who is important to highlight now and who is entertaining. Because remember, it's a television show at the end of the day. They need to put the entertainment factor out first. But I think that they lose touch of what is entertaining to a Survivor audience.
Yeah, and me, I'm like very harsh on like the editors like needing to give like more character moments and stuff. I totally agree with that, but I think in this premiere in particular, they had so many like medevac situations that needed to be shown that took a lot of time out of, like, not only did we get like Bruce getting his head checked at that first challenge, we also got him being taken out later that night. We also got a medevac little mini segment for Brandon. We also got a little medevac segment for Matthew to have like him crying in confessional being like, I'm so scared I wasted my chance. Like that, all of that together combined, as well as the stupid sweat or savvy thing, like that's what took up a lot of time away from character moments, I think. Like, could they have prevented the medevacs? Like, not so as much as the just taking out the sweat and savvy. I think that's more so the issue that they need to nix and just give us more time with these people.
Yeah. I would say that my last thought is that, and I understand that it's even more of a case to not do it for the American version, but I love the Australian Survivor version of if you are injured, you have a 24-hour, like, you're allowed to be away from your tribe for 24 hours.
I don't see why not.
I don't understand. Like, Bruce would have been back in time for the tribal if he was well enough, and they could have done extensive testing and all that stuff. Like, yes, he loses out on the relationships and everything, but I also feel like at the end of the day, like, that is what the payoff should be. Like, you know, you should either lose out on the relationships or whatever, just like some twists have been in the past if you've had to go away, but you have the option or the ability to potentially re-enter the game as long as you have been like thoroughly checked out and are good to go. I think it's really sad. I don't know if Bruce actually would have been able to get back to the game or not, but I also, like, we know that he's going to come back. So with 26 days, I guess it's just harder to give that as an okay.
Since Allison's not here, do you want to talk Australian Survivor for a second before?
Okay, I haven't caught up on this weekend stuff yet, though. So this week.
Okay. Yeah. That's fine. So I want to hear your first thoughts while I quickly feed Sora and come right back. Okay. So I'm listening. I'll just be gone and muted for just like a very quick second.
Okay.
I want to hear your thoughts.
So for everybody who hasn't been watching, it's a fantastic season. You have to watch. I have actually really never watched any international Survivor season before, and I was seeing such good things from people reacting to it. So I found the episodes and I've been watching. The strategy is just unreal. There's so many incredible players, and obviously George is incredible, but then you have so many amazing returnees. You have so many good newbies that were playing the game as well. Like even someone like Ben, who everybody knew was like this big strategist and such, but like unfortunately they just didn't know how to use him and use him to their advantage, because I think he could have been a really good wild card for someone like George, right?
Yeah.
To go against George, I mean. It's just been really interesting. I love the cross-tribal relationships. I love the twists of a mutiny and have somebody go back over to their tribe with Liz. I love there's actually not a vote out here. You're voting someone out over to the other tribe. And then if they survive the next tribal council, they come back to the tribe. Oh, Jerry actually gets to decide if he wants to come back or not. There's so many. Those are the kind of twists that instead of throwing advantages and idols at people, you're throwing scenarios at them to make decisions as well. Now, I'm not saying that's better or worse, but I'm saying that for what they're used to in Australia and how they play the game, it's creating incredible content, and I'm all in on it.
Yeah, this is like one of my favorite seasons of Survivor I think I've ever watched. So I'm glad to hear, like, I'm so happy that you're watching it. I'm so happy that there's like a lot of chatter online. I'm so happy that it's easily accessible on YouTube. Just find it like very easily. And
it's on YouTube. There's somebody who's uploading all the episodes on YouTube, so just be aware of that, people.
And like good resolution quality too. But like it's like the people that they brought back, I'm so happy to see return. Haley is one of the best winners in Survivor history. She's like the Australian Kim Spradlin, basically. Okay. So to see her like playing again and to make the merge and stuff and flipping to this alliance with George, who she was like against like the whole season she was on with him, it's really fun. Of course, Shawnee is like Australia's like favorite Survivor player. Like she's just such a joy.
So and would you say who is Shawnee in the American world? Is she a Parvati? But maybe not as strategic. I don't know. But she's pretty strategic. But like
not as like
not using like her sensuality as much as like as a shield, I guess.
Yeah. It's
more relationship
like,
builder.
Instead of like flirty energy, it's more like playful energy. If that makes any sense. And like her bond with Liz is just so fun.
I love Shiz.
Liz is really impressing me as a new player. Like to see her like standing up to Simon, freaking Simon. Let me just go on a tangent about that. I've never seen such a bottom feeder in the game of Survivor than freaking Simon. If Simon were like an animal in the ocean, he would be a crustacean eating whatever scraps he can have his hands on at the bottom of the ocean floor. And it is so fun to see the edit just pile on and bury how much of a fool this guy is, and like how much less of a game that he has. Like if he were to get to the end, like I would want Simon to stand up and say, I don't know why anybody would vote for me. I wasn't on the right side of any numbers. People just brought me in as a comedian.
Well, now he is.
And then people, but whoever he joins, they're just gonna throw him away like the second they're done with him. And I love that for him. It's been so fun to like.
It is. What's great
in a fun way to like.
Yeah, he's somebody that I just think has one of like, if Owen was Charlie Brown, who kept having the football taken away from him, like Simon has far replaced him. Like there's nothing that Simon has been able to do in order, like the way that George absolutely buried his chances of any relationship in the game, not once but twice, is insane. And now he's forced to work with him.
Right, exactly. Because he has no other options. I think Sean is like a really
I think Sean's underrated.
For sure. Like he is like a much better version of like the meathead like that we get in Survivor US usually.
And Sam is the US Survivor meathead.
Yes. Yeah. Sam is like the only one that I'm kind of like actively rooting against. And like, of course I'm rooting against Simon, but like, there's no way that Simon is winning this game. So, and God, George is just like so damn incredible. Like, I think he's the Russell Hantz that could actually win the game.
But here's I actually really dislike the comparison between him and Russell, because I don't think he's anything like Russell. I think that Russell used like honestly condescending bullying tactics, and George uses people's game incentives against them to make them question things, and also knows exactly what to do in order to get you to come onto his side, whether you want to be on his side or not. Yeah. And that is not what Russell was ever able to do. Russell used idols to bully people to do what he wanted and tore them down. And George has made it quite, even like when he and Simon are going at it in episode 7, the entire time he's like, what have I done to you? I've done nothing but speak very nicely to you this entire time. You are the one who is sitting here insulting me, and you're the one who's doing this. And he's pointing out what other people are doing. And yeah, he's playing like a fiddle while he does it. And that might be villainous, but at the same time, he's like, I've done nothing but show you respect, and look at how you're treating me right now.
Yeah, I mean, no, you're totally right. That's
Russell would never.
No, Russell you're right.
Like, Russell's a loser.
Russell leads by pecking people down, where George leads by raising people up, to the point where like he can go into the merge with such a disadvantage, like minority alliance with him, Shawnee, and Liz, the Spice Girls, and Jerry is just like a loyal soldier that is going to march to the end. Like he's building Maddie up as this like hero turned villain, and he's like instigating him to be like, oh, you're so bad, Maddie, you're so evil. Again, and Maddie is just falling for it like hook, line, and sinker.
I think Matt will absolutely, before Simon, be the first person they cut, though.
Totally. And they should cut Haley first, but that's not going to happen because we were saying earlier for US Survivor, like George has just done such an amazing job from like the very first episode, slowly building this bond of trust with Haley, to the point where like Haley turned against her majority alliance and is like actively trying to take out Nina because she knows that Nina can't trust her, and was like almost about to blindside her successfully, which I kind of wanted to see, because like as much as I would love to see Haley win again, like seeing Nina pull something like that off would just make me so happy as like Sandra's daughter. But I'm so excited with like this season, where it's going, and I think that like now that we're in the merge, I don't see it slowing down. I don't like the people that are left, like, yeah, it's a lot of fraternities and like not a lot of newbies, but I think the newbies that are left, especially Liz, are playing.
I was just going to say, is Liz the only returnee, or is Jerry also?
You mean newbie? I think.
Sorry, yes. Newbie.
Liz, Jerry, and Maddie, I think, are the only.
Oh, Maddie. Okay.
Yeah. So everybody else is a returnee, but and Jerry and Maddie are just kind of like puppets, but Liz is playing such a strong game that I'm so impressed with. So I am so excited to see how the rest of the season plays out. And I think like the next few travels are going to be brutal, because we're going to like whoever leaves is going to be somebody that I just like have loved watching this season.
Yeah. I will say, not because I dislike him as a person or a player, but just because I find him to be the least interesting person or gameplay to watch. Sam is the only one who I don't care, like I don't want to win. Yeah. If Simon won, I'd be like, oh my God, I can't wait to see how that happens. Right. Like there's like, I don't know. That's just kind of where I'm at. I think that Sam sounds like he's a lovely guy. Although I thought that about Stevie, and apparently he's a horrible racist. So, and transphobe.
Really?
Transphobe. So,
I didn't know that. So, all right.
Really disappointing. Yeah, he ran for Parliament in Australia and very much didn't understand or want to support the idea of Indigenous representation. And his Twitter, which only has like 50 followers, and apparently he did confirm on Instagram it is his Twitter, is problematic. Very problematic. So that's really disappointing.
I had no idea.
If it comes out that that's not the case and that's not his Twitter, like it helps a little bit, but he still has videos of him being very much like, I don't understand why we need to have representation of, Indigenous people. And I'm like, that is so awful to hear, but regardless, but I loved him as a character on the show. which is really
cool. Same. And I really love Jordy as a character this season too. I know his wife has some like anti-vax stuff going on, but like Jordy was a really great character to root for and stuff. So
agreed.
So I just wanted to talk about Australian Survivor real quick. Like, I think we should do like a season like recap. Like after
I'd love
done.
to.
I would love to do that, and I think this season deserves it.
So you all got a little taste today of our thoughts of Australian Survivor, but we'll be back when the season's over, and we'll do kind of like a season in review.
Also, I'm not straight, but like Liz has like the most insane body I've ever seen.
Gorgeous.
Like not only her body, but like her face. Like she looks like she's like freshly bathed, like 24/7. Like you would not guess they're on like day like 40 whatever.
Right. How long is Australian Survivor? Because it's longer than America, right?
I think it's around like 56 days.
Like I meant like longer than like what America used to be. Anything's longer than America's now, but
right.
And then I know that Pokemon has asked this as well if we're going to be covering BB Can 11.
Yes.
And yes, we will be. So we will cover BB Can 11. I know that there won't be feeds, but we'll likely do our weekly coverage. Pretty casual, probably.
Yeah, I think like the tentative, like we're going to do a draft on Tuesday for the cast. And then we have a busy week for My Weekly Meltdown. So Monday, Allison and I are covering The Last of Us. Tuesday, we're doing the BB Can draft. Wednesday is the Survivor episode 2 recap. And then Thursday is the first live eviction for Big Brother Canada. I don't know if we're doing it on Thursday immediately following the show, or if we're just like doing a recap like at some point during the weekend. We'll kind of figure out like when that is, because that's a lot of like days in a row to do shows. But like this overlap is just for like a very short time, because The Last of Us is ending pretty soon.
I would even say, and I'm sorry if this isn't a popular opinion, I can absolutely be voted down. I don't think that we need to cover the first eviction on its own. I think we could cover everything the next week. So if the draft is kind of like, that's our coverage for BB Can, and then the second week we could talk about the 2 evictions, and that way we can save ourselves a week. Because again, we would love to share everything with y'all, but at the same time, we got lives.
Yeah, this is not our day jobs, ladies and gentlemen. No, I'm open to that idea. We'll talk about it more off air, but I'm open to that, especially since we don't have feeds. Like, I feel like waiting a week will give us a lot clear of like a picture of like the house dynamic and more things to talk about, because the Big Brother premieres are like usually pretty rough, like not much to recap and talk about.
Right.
Even like the first eviction is kind of just like, all right, when's like, here's kind of what's going on, but like we'll be in the dark about like a lot of the house dynamics and stuff, which is a real damn shame, but I'm so upset about that. But yeah, we'll save all that chatter for the draft and stuff. But I think that's a good plan, to maybe hold off a week or so and give us a little grace while The Last of Us ends and stuff. But
all right. Well, thank you everybody for joining. It was so good to see so many wonderful people in chat, some new chatters as well. Thank you so much for coming on in and chatting with us and watching our coverage. Like Tyler said, you have plenty of opportunities to watch us next week live or come back and watch after we have recorded as well. You can also subscribe to us everywhere that you get podcasts. And if you'd like to become a patron of My Weekly Meltdown, you can do so by going to patreon.com/myweeklymeltdown. And you can especially now that we're going to have a lot to cover, those are opportunities potentially for, guesting or doing drafts or Brant Steals or those kind of things with us in the future. So feel free to support us there if you would like to.
This is a call to action too for podcasts. Like, we need more reviews on Apple Podcasts and Spotify and stuff like that, just to increase like visibility for us. So if this is your first time watching and you enjoyed what you watched/listened to, or if you've been listening for years and you want to give us a review, please go ahead and do that for us. That would be very greatly appreciated.
Yes, thank you so much, everybody. And we will be back next week with The Last of Us, a BB Can 11 draft, and episode 2 of Survivor at the very least, if not maybe another piece of coverage for BB Can 11.
Yes. Oh, wait, one more question. Like, what is are you like in on BB Can coverage this year, you think?
Yeah.
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 Okay.
I think
This
so.
is Beth's return to Big Brother. I'm excited to see it.
Yeah, I kind of took a year off, and not just from BB Cam, just like in general. Like I didn't watch last season of Big Brother. I kind of, and I'm going to be 1,000% honest. I think the reason why I'm even more interested in doing BB Cam is because there aren't feeds.
Oh, okay. All right.
Because I'm not going to have my timeline filled with people who are being angry about people, even if I've muted. Well, I'm sure I will when the episode is airing, and that's different.
Yeah,
like,
yeah, that's
when
true.
I'm constantly being inundated with stuff, and just because of the merit of the communities of the people I follow and that kind of thing, even if they're not tagged, it's just like I'm watching it without even watching it. This year, I can actually watch it and see for things myself. But
you're not wrong. You're not wrong. All right. Well, everybody have a good rest of your night. We'll see you basically all of next week. Take care.
Bye.